Um, I don't know where you want to storage.
All right. Um,
These are all the things.
all right. So explain to me. I want to understand how. Okay, so you're fetching it on line 20 to get people.
Okay.
You're fetching an array of objects that have information about people from the Star Wars, converting it in line 29, 21. I mean, and then on line 22, you're saving it in your store.
Hmm.
So I want to understand how are you doing that? Dispatch type and payload. What does all that mean? And so in between line 22 and then go to show me what other file that connects to.
Okay.
Why does it type set people specifically and etc.
Okay. Let's see. So my get people um, variable is okay. So I guess the once the information is like passed through like JSONified and
Mm,
it's like translated into data that the I guess the website can read or understand.
mm,
Um, this what this does, it saves it in a set people is like the kind of like a variable, I want to say, that I created in the store, um, so that I'm able to access this whole fetch of get people throughout any component, without having to actually like copy and paste it in every single page. Um, and the payload, let's see, what does the payload actually do? Let me see. If the return action below is the action that gives. So I took notes. That gives it a new value. Okay, so it basically that's what it does. It gives like a. It's like I guess it reminds me of the when we did the use state. Was it how
mm.
we have the variable saved? And like the function that goes with the variable. That allows the variable to change from the original, like whatever the original value is.
Okay,
I'm really not good at explaining things, but that's kind of like my understanding.
nice. No, you're not too far off. Pretty solid response there. So let's take it the next step. So you're like I would say that was like eight. I would give that like a 80%
Okay.
answer. Like pretty close to like you got the bigger concepts there.
Okay.
And then there's a few little details that we could look at. So um, so one thing is go to the dispatch again on the yeah here. So type set people isn't a variable.
Okay.
What it is if you go back to the store, notice on 13 you have set people is right there, right?
Hmm.
So it's a way to like so notice you have if action.type is set people,
Hmm.
do all this stuff. Line 22, if action.type is set vehicles, do this
Hmm.
other stuff. So it's just kind of a way to um, know what function you want to do, kind of. It's like every time you call dispatch, it
Hmm.
always goes inside that store reducer on line 11.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
look at the blue curly bracket all the way on the right. there's that, and it ends somewhere down there.
Okay, and they're all like within.
It's
Okay.
all line 63. So every time you do dispatch, it's going to go inside of this big function
Okay.
object thing. So the type allows you to say, okay, this dispatch, I only wanted to do these 3 lines of code. And so set people allows it to only do line, 13 to line 20 and ignore everything else.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So that's what that is. And so now,
So this is an action kind of, or yeah.
kinda,
Okay.
yeah. Basically, you can think of it like that. Yep. So now, I think we can get a little more clarity about what the payload is.
Okay.
And I want to see if you can console log to figure out what is the payload. So you would console log something on line 12. And so if let's say, you don't know what payload is and you want to find out, how can you use console log to find out what is payload? And you can get a clue from line 11 to line 20.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, there's a clue. And then also in the home dispatch, there could be a clue as well.
In the home dispatch?
Yeah, like just on line 22, there could be a clue there as well of what it's going on and what you should console log.
Am I console logging just the payload?
Explore that. Let's see what you come up with here. Take your best guess, and then see what happens in the console log, and if there's an error, you could. But you can have a clue from in between line 11 and 20 as well. There's another thing here that could give you a hint of what specifically to put in the console log.
Oops. So I'm trying to find out what this is actually doing, right?
Okay.
And the people. I wouldn't
go back to home.
Oh.
So what are we setting payload as?
Data.results.
So how would we see what data.results is? Or how would we check it?
How do we check it? Console log data.
That's going to give you a big chunk of data. So you would want to console log
just the data.results.
Let's try that.
Yeah.
On here?
Let's try it. A lot of console logging is just trying to see if something works, not assuming that you're going to be right.
Anything you want? Well, yeah. So if it didn't already, it should have gave you an error saying data is not defined. So that could have been something, but I would say let's only look from line 11 to 20 and make your best guess of how can you view the payload from here.
The action.payload.
All right, and tag it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and Oh wait, that was my bad because I told you on line 12. So it actually has to be inside the if statement,
Oh, okay. So it'd be under.
like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I saw it, but it's going so fast. um.
I don't think it actually has to. Wait a minute. Why? It actually won't go in there because wait. Oh, maybe it does. Oh, payload. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is payload then?
Huh? I'm so confused. Is this whole thing payload?
Well, you console logged it, so
Okay, so it's basically, yeah, is that the right term? Array of objects
good. And what is it? An array of objects of what?
of the people.
Good. Right. That answers the question. What is the payload?
Okay. So you're saving an array of objects within the payload, and this allows you to access that array when we do the action.payload.
Right. So we clarified that set people was not a variable, but it was that thing there.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know what payload is. It's an array of objects. So now that you know that, where specifically are we saving this array of objects?
We're saving it in the people.
Good. And where is people?
We have that saved here.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you mentioned that correctly. You mentioned about that we're putting it here so we can access in all the different files.
Okay.
But we didn't make the full circle that.
What we're accessing so that we can always access the array of people
From there specifically.
Okay.
Yep. And payload is what carries that data.
Oh, okay.
And then the type thing is just so it knows to go here in the code, line 13 to, or line 12 rather, line 12 to 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But nice. Yeah, you got like a big chunk of it though with your first stab at it. So that was pretty good.
All right.
Nice. All right, cool. Let's do
Fun.
Alex, is this what I guess most like technical interviews are like, where you're
Right.
coding something and they're asking you like, oh, now talk through it. Let me know how you got there.
Yeah.
Are they quizzing you like you are now?
Yeah, but there's a lot of they will just like let you fall on your face. So
they'll be like, yeah, okay, cool.
Like I remember there's this one time where I had a technical interview and the guy said like, what boilerplates do you use? Do you use boilerplates? And there's so many names out there like this API, that API, Bootstrap, Tailwind. Like there's always so many names. So I didn't know if he was talking about some third-party API or did he mean boilerplate in the sense like when 4Geeks you have to fork it and it has all this code in there already? Yeah. That's a boilerplate.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if he was. So he said like, "Oh, do you use boilerplates?" And I was like, "Oh, you mean like boilerplate, like a boilerplate? Or are you talking about with the boilerplate? Like what do you mean?" And he was just like, I don't know. What do I mean?" And I was like,
"Oh God."
So yeah, and like, there's been a few interviews where I'll say something and then like however many months later I realize, oh shit, I totally answered that wrong. And then I realized he totally didn't give me any clues there. Like there's a thing like get fetch you can put in the terminal. And like when you do like we talked about get pull a little bit. So when you pull from a branch, so get fetch is like similar to that. And it just has to do with like affecting your local code versus like your repo and all that. So there's get fetch. but then there's also fetch with React. Like Love was just looking at fetch URL blah 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 dot then. So in the technical interview, he was like, "Oh yeah, can you tell me what is get fetch?" And I was like, "Well, fetch like you fetching from an API, like Star Wars, like the people." Like I got that. I got and it wasn't at all. Get fetch is the same word, but a completely different concept. And he just was like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, yeah.
He just wrote some notes down.
He didn't say nothing. So
That's crazy.
That's
so
I
rough.
remember,
That is
I
right.
remember when I got asked a question for why didn't you use NoSQL for this?
Hmm.
And I was like, what is that?
right.
He did not like that answer.
Hilarious.
What is that?
But yeah, I mean, Brandon, you're asking me about York Solutions, and there's this place employer, and with them, they often would ask me to they would ask me like, "Oh, what happens if I get rid of this part of the code? Like if I delete that word or this parentheses." And sometimes there's like specific things that will happen. And then like there's other times where they would ask me like, "Okay, how could you write a test for this function to make sure it
This is
works?"
during the technical interview for
Yeah,
yours?
yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So if you have a function, you could write a test to make sure it works. So anyways, yeah, they're
And when did
typically.
you do that? When were you with York?
Say it again.
When were you with York? Which year were you with York Solutions?
When was that? That was. I'm so bad with years. I want to
Pre-COVID
say
or post-COVID?
post COVID. Pretty sure post. Yeah,
Okay, so not too long ago.
yeah. But yeah, but cool. So let's get to the next person. I don't know, Israel. You want to pull something up? Maybe we could stay with the Star Wars reading list just to. You should go to GitHub, 4Geeks. So go to GitHub and then go to the 4Geeks GitHub page. Yeah, that first one's good. You can go back. Oh, there it is, 4Geeks Academy. Go to repositories. Oh yeah, there, and search your GitHub username. Or that too. Well, no, if you do that, it's going to show up everyone. So just put your GitHub username. Okay, we can actually just look at All right, you already did it. We can just look at the files too. Probably be easier to have the code space open. Shay, do you have your thing open already? Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay, let's have you go and then we'll come back to Israel.
Okay.
Alrighty. So we got that. Show me your navbar component. Okay, show me your favorites component. All right, so scroll down. Okay. You go to your okay, go to you have a let me see your components here. People JSX.
hmm
Oh, sorry, go back to your favorites. Interesting. So type dislike. Go to your store. Go down. Go keep going. Okay, here. Okay, so let's see if you can explain this dislike action type.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. So in order to be able to delete a favorite from your favorites column,
Mm-hmm.
I had to create this kind of on-click button
Mm-hmm.
with the type of function. Well, I had to create it in the store as something I would be able to get access to. So I had to make sure that the type was basically opposite from obviously your favorites, so my
Mm-hmm.
likes. And then let me see, I'm trying to remember what I did here. Payload item.
Yeah, so far so good. So type dislike brings you to that part.
And then where it says payload item, it was basically item being whatever it is in the favorites that you're trying to take out or delete,
Cool. Yeah.
and putting it here. Well, putting it here as in like the parameter.
Uh-huh. That's what item is. Cool.
Yeah, and then putting it here as well, also giving you access. So basically, it was just a way for me to be able to have the favorites there and also be able to delete it if when needed.
All right, so go back to favorites. So you said item was the favorite you have.
Like if whatever was in the favorites, yeah.
Right. So whatever's in the favorite, you click on it.
hmm
So where do you see that in the store? Like go back to the store and highlight where that the thing you clicked on, where is that in this code in the dislike part?
Right here.
Nope. Only the code that is the thing you clicked on in the other page. It gets sent here. Now where do we, and this is similar to what Love was exploring.
Right here.
Nope, it's like shorter than that.
shorter.
Yeah, it's like less code for the item that you clicked on. So let's go back to home and let's review what Love looked at. So people, okay. So here on line 15, you have type and you have payload.
Hmm.
So you even have some notes here on line 16. Payload is an array of objects, right? That's your comment there on line 16. So here it says payload : data dot results, right? So data dot results is the array of objects. Okay, so let's go back to your store and let's look for set people, which is up there probably. Okay, so we discovered, okay, you even got a console log, 14. Where's my payload at?
Oh, yeah.
It's action.payload.
Hmm.
That's where we send, that's where we have access to data.results. Action.payload, that's how you access it.
Okay.
So one more time, look at your home. So here on payload, line 15 on the right, payload : data.results. Cool. So the payload : is fade there. So now here on line 27, you don't have payload data.results, you have payload item.
Okay.
And you told me item is the favorite that shows up there and you click on it.
Hmm.
Cool. So let's go back to the store and go down to dislike. So where can we access the favorite that you clicked on?
Item right here.
No, same. It happens to be the same word, but that's not. Think back to the, what was it? Set people.
Yeah.
Where did we have access to the array of objects?
The action payload.
So go back down. Where do we have access to the person you clicked on?
Right here. Action payload.
Yeah, action.payload. That's the thing. Yeah.
So, oh, okay. I thought it was that whole thing. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just action.payload. That's like the name or whatever. All right, cool. So that's part of putting this all together.
Mhm.
And then we have this filter function to kind of understand.
So the filter function is basically the literal like filtration in between, like in a array to like shuffle through which one you're gonna select.
Nice. Yeah. So what array is the filter function connected to?
The what array? It should be all of them, but
It's literally connected to in that code.
the item.
Well, no, look at the filter. Look at the word filter there.
Mm.
So when I say connected, it's like
Oh,
usually we
favorites.
can, huh?
The favorites.
Right. The favorites array. Store.favorites.
Mm.
Okay. So you probably have an array of favorites that says Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, etc. Okay. So in this case, item, the word item right here, it isn't the one you clicked on in the favorites component. It represents the loops you're going through with a favorites array.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
sorry, you said a question?
I'm like trying to think the best way to go about this. So
Okay.
I mean, I just remember banging my head against the wall trying to internalize this. So I'm trying to think like what to guide you with. So Okay. So let's say go back to favorites. All right. So after line 24, hit enter. And do, command slash and put a square brackets and put, Luke, comma, what does that show? Yoda, right?
Yeah, the little green guy.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's say we have two favorites in your array, Luke and Yoda. So your store.favorites.map, you're looping through those,
Mhm.
right? So if you click on Luke, then the payload is going to be Luke, right?
Mhm.
So can you, where it says item, can you delete item? No, not that one, the payload one. So delete that and change it to Luke. Okay, that's Luke now because you clicked on it, right?
Mm.
Let's go back to store. And now, what is action payload equal to?
Luke.
Right, so delete action payload and change it to Luke. Okay. So, can you hit enter after line 45 and do a command slash, square bracket, Luke, comma, a Yoda? Great. So store.favorites is equal to line 46,
Mhm.
right? So we're going to loop through each one. So it's an iteration. So the first iteration, let's change this. Sorry, go back to favorites component and change payload to Yoda instead to make the example better. Okay, so you clicked on Yoda. So payload was Yoda now.
Mhm.
Let's go back to store. Change that to Yoda instead of Luke. Okay. Cool. So that part. So now you access again on line 47. You say store.favorites.filter. So store.favorites is line 46.
Mhm.
So when you do filter, it's gonna loop through each thing inside of the array.
Mhm.
So the first one is Luke, right?
Yeah.
So change item to Luke, and that one, and then the other one too. So it's Luke. So what do you remember about what comes after the arrow right there with the
Right.
filter function? Right there, that part, yeah. You have a not equal sign. Why do you have a not equal sign?
It's like a condition to say
Good.
like if this is not equal to this.
Right. So the condition is saying, do we keep it or not? So if the condition is true, wait, how does it work? I always forget.
if it's not Luke, then it's not true.
If it's true, if the condition is true, we keep it inside of the array.
Right.
If it is true, we keep it. If the condition is not true, then that item needs to get out of the array.
Okay.
Yeah. So what does the condition say right now?
If Luke is not equal to Yoda?
Good. So is that condition true?
Yes.
Right. It's a true condition. It's true. Luke isn't equal to Yoda. So we get to keep Luke because that's the one we're iterating over, the filter.
Right.
So Luke stays there. So now it's Yoda. So go ahead and change, instead of Luke, put Yoda. That's what we're filtering over now. So now is the condition true?
Yeah.
So read out the condition.
Oh no, it's not.
And read it out loud to
The whole thing?
just the condition part.
Oh, Yoda is it. Well, it says here Yoda is not equal to Yoda.
Right. So is that true?
No.
No, it's not true to say that Yoda is not equal to Yoda,
Right.
because it is equal. So now Yoda needs to get removed. So now store.favorites is getting changed to an array that only has Luke inside of it. Whew. Okay, so that's the whole process there for filtering. So for your final projects, anytime you want to delete, remove something, that's what you need to do, a dot filter.
To remove.
Yeah, and so sometimes, can you change, so where it says Luke and, okay, line 46, where it says Luke, can you change it to curly brackets? And say name, Luke, comma, age, whatever, 40. So sometimes what you have in the array is an array of objects, right? So can you copy your curly bracket object thing? Copy that and paste it in the parentheses where it says Luke. Right. So that's what you got now. Can you, the first Yoda after the arrow, can you paste it there too? Now this is what you got. So let's pretend the only thing you pass to your dispatch is a string saying Yoda. You can't compare it with a whole object.
Yeah.
So what would you need to do?
Take out the string.
Yeah. So how would you do that?
Oh,
What kind of syntax? So like in the parentheses, let's undo 2 times. Again. Okay. So put item there instead. So item, now with the filter, item is equal to that object up there. Name, Luke, age 40. So instead of Yoda, the first Yoda, what do we change that to? It'd be item and then what?
Name, Luke, age 40.
No, because we need to compare it only to the name, because the thing we got sent with the dispatch was just a string called Yoda. So you can't compare a string of Yoda to a whole object that says name, Luke, age 40. So you had to put item and then something else. What would that be?
Okay, so that item is connected to the object, right?
Right.
Okay. Can you just put item?
No, because then the condition is going to say, is the string Yoda not equal to an entire object? And it's going to say, yeah, Yoda isn't an entire object. But that's not a good comparison, because what you want to compare is what? Yoda to the name. So what would you change it to? Item and then what?
The name, like the actual name.
Right. So how would you do that if it's an object?
Oh.
You have to put item. That's my clue to you. You have to type item, and then you have to type something else. There you go. Yep. That would be it. Because then you're comparing the name strings, and that's.
Got it. To take it from the object.
Right. Because sometimes that will happen. It depends how things are structured. Sometimes you're forced to work with certain structures because that's what the API gives you. So sometimes you have to think, okay, what is the structure of this? And, you need to get inside the object, like item dot name, whatever,
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, now it's coming back to me.
Good. Right, we haven't touched JavaScript in a moment.
Yeah, maybe we need more pop quizzes. I don't know.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, I like this.
Hey, Alex, quick question on this too. So essentially, the filter method is its own like loop function, kind of, right?
It is a loop. It is looping through an array. Yep.
Because what we have right now set up is an arrow function, right?
Yeah.
But because we're using a dot filter, it has a loop feature as well, right?
Mhm. Well,
Well, so
Because it's like looping through everything, and then once it deems false, it's keeping whatever that is. So it's keeping Yoda.
yeah,
Looping through it first.
right. So, and yeah, I mean, the thing that's a little misleading about arrow functions is that if it's a one-liner, like item.name not equal to Yoda is what we could call a one-liner. It's one line of code. So in an arrow function, if it's a one-liner, you don't need to put the word return, and it will automatically return what you put after the arrow.
Got it. That's true.
So right now, it's returning the condition item.name not equal to Yoda.
Okay.
So can you put curly brackets around that condition, Shay?
this one?
Yeah. Like around the whole condition. Like not equal to Yoda. Okay, and now go to the left of item.name and hit enter. Okay, and go to the right of Yoda and hit enter. Okay, so this is another way to do an arrow function, right? Can you, where the item in parentheses is at, can you click to the left of the parenthesis and hit enter?
This one?
Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of something we're familiar with.
Mhm.
Arrow,
Right.
I mean parentheses, arrow, curlies. And so hit enter after line 48 inside the curly.
Right here?
No, the one to the right, and hit enter. Okay. So
To return.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess to the left of item.name, do return and space. So that would be the same thing as what we had before.
True. Okay.
So that's what filter needs. You need to
Item.name,
return a
okay.
condition.
Okay.
And that's
Typically,
another.
Yoda was. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, okay, and yeah, Yoda was the only thing in that array so far, which is why we had it set up that way, right? Where it says everything that is true should be added. So that's the only way we kept Yoda out of the what do you call it? Out of the filter.
Out of the filter. Right. Yeah.
I said that right.
Yeah, and like, and so sometimes it, I would say, a lot of times it is a simple condition. Does this name match? Does this ID match? Usually it's a one-liner. So arrow functions are nice and clean and it's straightforward. But every now and then, the condition you need might be more complex. Instead of just matching a name or matching an ID, it might be, different. I don't know, like if the student age is older than 18 and status is graduated and cohort is equal to full stack. It can be like through all these different conditions that you need to test through, and that's what you return. Sometimes a lot, in order to get the condition, you need a bunch of logic. You need like line 49. You could go to line 49 and hit enter a few times. So you could use 49 all the way to 51 or more to do a whole bunch of logic just to get the right condition, possibly, like in your final projects. So
Got you. So she could even, for this example, I guess maybe may not be a perfect example, but like we got Luke's age. So she could be like, oh, if Luke is older than such and such, then filter out, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, right.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So,
Yes.
but anyway, yeah, that's the filter function there. Yeah, that was a good one.
Can I return my code now?
Fine. I mean, so this is a code space. You
Mhm.
already
Oh, that's
saved
true.
it to your repo, right?
Yeah.
So you could throw your computer out the window right now and it could get run over by a car and it would still be fine. I mean, your
Okay.
life would not be that. I mean, the project would survive.
Got it.
Anyway, but awesome. So yeah, so cool, guys. So Monday we're gonna start a new project. Authentication. It's gonna deal with safely logging, like having someone save their password, using security features and all that. So it's a pretty cool project. And yeah, I think as far as I know, it seems like everyone finished the Star Wars REST API. So I'm gonna say that I'm pretty sure. Let me see here. I believe the project data modeling Star Wars